you sent in a story, and it's called The Dancing Angel.
Okay.
And it's all about, like, finding profound experiences, but in, like, the most unexpected places.
Hmm.
And this one takes us to an Easter Sunday service in Blythe, California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
A day and a setting where most people are expecting something, very traditional, a
exactly.
very specific kind of experience.
The storyteller and their brother Troy are heading into this, like, packed church. And
Oh,
apparently Troy is, like, a real character, like a natural comedian. The story compares him to both Jim Carrey and Bill Burr.
wow, that's quite the combination.
I know, right?
It sounds like he's got the physical comedy and like the sharp wit, down pat.
Oh, yeah. The story really emphasizes how funny he is.
Okay.
But it's not just about that. It's about the connection between these two brothers.
Right.
They're entering the church foyer separately.
Okay.
And as they do, they both turn their heads at the exact same moment.
Oh, wow.
And what do they see? An 80-something-year-old man, super skinny, just dancing his heart out in the middle of the foyer.
Okay, now that's an image I got to hear more about.
Right.
What kind of dancing are we talking about here?
The story says he was jumping like 2 feet in the air,
Wow.
waving palm fronds around, completely oblivious to like everyone else around him.
Wow, talk about genuine expression.
I know.
He's clearly not concerned with like fitting in or meeting anyone else's expectations,
Right.
There's something powerful about that, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And you can tell how much this energy affects the brothers.
Yeah.
They burst out laughing, trying their best to muffle it.
Okay.
But ultimately, they just can't contain themselves,
Yeah.
like turn in unison. And the story describes them walking out to the parking lot
Okay.
with the synchronized movements of Olympic swimmers.
That's a hilarious image.
Right.
It sounds like their laughter took on a life of its own,
Yeah.
became this shared, almost like choreographed experience.
And they keep laughing.
Oh, no.
For an hour,
Wow.
they're out in the parking lot just cracking up over this dancing man.
While everyone else is inside listening to the sermon,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder if maybe they stumbled onto a different kind of service.
Yeah.
A different kind of connection right there in the parking lot.
It does make you think.
Yeah.
The story goes on to say that even though they missed the actual service,
Right.
the storyteller felt a deep and profound sense of joy that day.
Mm-hmm.
All thanks to this old man and his just uninhibited expression of faith.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
It challenges the idea that profound experiences can only be found in, certain places.
Right.
Or through like specific rituals.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like their laughter became a form of worship in itself.
Yeah,
A celebration of the joy and connection they found in that moment.
totally.
What do you think?
I think it's beautiful, and the storyteller even refers to the man as an angel, which makes you wonder, was this just a funny coincidence, or was it something more?
Right. The language they use is really interesting.
Yeah.
They acknowledge the humor, but they also see something deeper, almost spiritual in the encounter.
Yeah.
And, it makes me think about active versus passive participation.
Okay.
Would they have felt that same sense of joy if they had stayed inside and just listened to the sermon?
Right.
Or did stepping outside, literally and figuratively,
Uh-huh.
enhance their experience?
Yeah, it's like they found a different doorway into that feeling of connection,
Exactly. And it raises the question, what is it about these unexpected moments, that can be so impactful?
Right.
I'm curious, listener, have you ever experienced something similar? A moment of joy or connection that came out of nowhere and shifted your perspective?
I think we've all had those moments, right? Where something seemingly insignificant ends up having a surprisingly profound effect.
Totally.
And in this case, it stemmed from laughter.
It's easy to dismiss laughter as just like a fleeting emotion,
Right.
but it can be so much more than that.
Yeah.
It can be a way of connecting with others,
Uh-huh.
of acknowledging the absurdity of life, of finding light in the darkness.
And in this story, it seems like the laughter served as a catalyst for a deeper experience.
Absolutely. It allowed them to tap into something bigger than themselves,
Right.
something joyful and transcendent. It's interesting how the storyteller describes the old man,
Yeah.
not with judgment, but with a sense of wonder and appreciation.
Uh-huh.
It's that shift in perspective, that willingness to embrace the unexpected that opens us up to these kinds of experiences.
So in a way, it wasn't just about the dancing man.
Right.
It was about the brothers' willingness to see the humor and the beauty in the situation.
Right. It was about their openness to experience joy in a way they hadn't anticipated.
Right.
And it challenges our assumptions about where we're supposed to find meaning and connection.
Okay.
It suggests that maybe those things aren't confined to specific places or rituals.
So even though they were outside the church walls, they still found a kind of spiritual connection.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was about finding church in the parking lot,
Right.
but rather about recognizing that joy and connection aren't location dependent.
Hmm.
They can arise anywhere at any time if we're open to them.
That's a good point.
What's fascinating here is the idea that these liminal spaces, places like parking lots that exist between defined boundaries,
Right.
can often foster unexpected encounters and shifts in perspective.
That's a really interesting point. It's like those in-between spaces create a kind of blank canvas
Yeah,
where something new and unexpected can emerge.
precisely. And in this case, it led to a moment of profound joy and connection for the storyteller and their brother.
This whole story really highlights the importance of being present, of paying attention to those seemingly insignificant moments, because you never know where they might lead you.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how many moments like that we miss out on just because we're so caught up in our own heads.
Right, or in like what we think we're supposed to be experiencing.
It's a good reminder to just stay open to the unexpected.
Yeah.
Embrace those moments of surprise and delight that life throws our way.
Like a dancing octogenarian in a church foyer.
Exactly.
This whole story has really been about the power of perspective, hasn't it?
Absolutely. The storyteller could have easily just dismissed the old man,
Oh, yeah.
like as odd or disruptive.
Right.
But instead, they chose to see the joy, the genuine expression of faith.
Yeah.
And that choice, opened them up to this profound experience.
And it all started with laughter, which, when you think about it, is a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, laughter's often overlooked as a source of meaning or connection.
Right.
But as we've seen in this story, it can be a powerful pathway to both.
Totally.
It can break down barriers, shift our perspective, and remind us of the simple joy of being alive.
So for you listening, think about where you find those moments of unexpected joy.
Yeah.
Where does laughter lead you? What seemingly insignificant encounters have shifted your perspective?
Maybe it's a shared joke with a stranger, a moment of silliness with loved ones, or simply witnessing a display of pure, unadulterated joy like the dancing man in this story.
The world is full of these little sparks of joy just waiting to be discovered.
Right.
We just have to be open to seeing them.
And remember, sometimes the most meaningful experiences come from the most unexpected places. Keep your eyes open, your heart light, and your laughter ready. You never know what wonders await.